Father, I want to be fed. How many times have we heard that together? That was a question that we asked last week together, as we've together heard so many people said that they've left the church because they weren't being fed. And as we introduced a new series to you last week in week 1, we came together again yesterday for week 2 of the series entitled, I Want to Be Fed. And we heard this miraculous story in the Gospel of John about how Jesus fed 5,000 people all at once, and they were all satisfied. And I think a lot of us, as we look in our lives with a desire to be fed, if we're honest, don't see those types of miracles in our everyday life, do we? I mean, I haven't seen miracles like that unfolding day in, day out. And as I look at my life, and I think a lot of us who are in this conversation together look at our lives, it can be difficult to see God that involved in our life as he was in the scriptures. And if you're asking yourself about being fed and you want to be fed, then one of the things that we can struggle with in believing that God wants to feed us is whether or not God is actually involved in my life. In other words, the difficulty in believing that God's gonna feed the hungers of my heart is when we don't see God active in our life in the everyday circumstances the way that he was in the scriptures. And so we had the courage this past weekend to not necessarily give you all the answers as much as to give us permission to ask the questions. And the question that I think a lot of us have to ask ourselves is, do you see in your everyday life God active and alive and working miracles? And if you don't, that's okay. And if you want to, then we encourage you to come back next week for week 3 as we share the good news about how is it that we can see God active in the world today. If you want to listen to the rest of the message that we shared with you on yesterday, week 2 of the series on Not Being Fed, go to our diocesan website, htdiocese.org. Click on the button that says Preaching and Homilies, and there's more messages where you can hear the good news of God speaking to you, giving you permission to ask yourself the question, do you see God active in your life? And if not, are you prepared for him to reveal more to you? God bless you.